Peace, y'all. This is our second new video for 2022. It's 16th of January. Out here messing around. Just wanted to get some things lined up before I brought you anything. Yes, it's been re-entry from Christmas, the holidays, Daytona, all that stuff has been a little bumpier. There was a little roughness to the ride there. First couple of days were just a bummer, man, because it got so cold and we were used to being so warm. Now, I think we're getting over the depression of realizing that we're back in Michigan. It's going to be cold like this for at least 8 to 10, maybe even 12 weeks. Who knows? So it's going to be at least 8 weeks of freezing cold weather till we get through February. March, it'll start getting a little better. So been doing a lot of internet stuff. Chasing, like I said, I might have mentioned, chasing some brake bits and some things, different options we have for the super cart brake system. We're just thinking about getting these carts built up. We may not even build them all the way up and run them, folks. We may end up just building rolling chassis that have 4 wheels and steering and all the brakes and stuff on it, and then see if we can offload this stuff to somebody who will take it from there. Kind of like we did with the Dick Tracy carts, right? The cart that went down to Stephen Toe down in Georgia, the cart that went to Ace down in Florida, and the Yamadog here. But we're bringing you a few different things. We're going to start out with why I didn't finish those 2-piece wheels that we got. Spent all that money on and chased down DWT to get straightened out beforehand. What happened was one of these, when I was using an impact to put the 2-piece wheels together, remember we were gluing them together. You got to hold it down because the tire was wider than the wheel. It's real awkward. It's why nobody likes using 2-piece wheels anymore. Even if you don't use silicone, it's still a pain in the ass. What happened was we stripped out a stud. We stripped out the aluminum, the hub itself. So after getting back and doing a little research, we called Johnny West, told us, yes, you can get a stepped stud. So we measured the stripped out hole. It was 306, 309, tap drill for 316/18, or 316, 3/8/16, I'm sorry. 3/8/16 is a 5/16 drill. And do the math. I think that's like 312, right? Let's look on the chart. 5/16, 312. So we had plenty of, the hole was still small enough. We ran a 5/16 through it. We tapped it good and straight. We Loctited the bad boy in the house. Had to actually take a, I think it was a U drill or a V drill. The U drill. And we actually drilled and did a little counter bore to the hole. Because as you can see, these things have got a little shoulder to them, right? And if it bottoms out at the end of the 3/8 thread, it's going to leave some 3/8 sized shoulder. And the wheels we are using on everything we're using, it has a 5/16 hole. And sometimes you got to take a little round file and move the hole a little bit just to get everything to sit real honky-dory and fall right on real easy for you. But we didn't want to have to deal with that, having a 1 3/8 hole in a wheel. Kind of takes away your opportunity to roll things around. Then you got to put, all 3 holes at 3/8 so you can rotate this thing around, kind of vectoring when you're going to balance and everything, right? So we come out and we counterboard and dropped it down in there, and it turned out real nice. And a wheel drops right on there, so we're good to go. Why did I take this all apart? Well, I think what we're going to do is we're going to use these hubs on the Yamadog, because those are brand new hubs on there. So we'll put those brand new rotors on these hubs, and we'll take those new expensive $250 a piece hubs, and we'll put our rotors on them. And what we're going to do is use this whole setup. We just bought these wheels from Rick Gilmore in North Carolina. Thanks, Rick. Gave us a deal on some brand new Van K wheels. 6-inch bead, 5-inch wide, 2-inch back space. As you can see, plenty of room to clear the little funky Paul Martin brakes, the little piston anvil brakes. But this is what we're going to use on the other 125 cart, the chassis that you saw from the storage unit. This is also a Paul Martin piece. It's actually a Brembo copy. It's almost shaped. It almost looks, if it had black wrinkle paint on it, you'd think it was a Brembo caliper. But if you line up the center right over top of the rotor, which is where you're really going to want it, we got plenty of room. Sorry about that. Plenty of room to clear the caliper with a 2-inch backspace wheel, right? And that's what these are. These are also 2-inch, 5-inch wide, 5-inch bead, 2-inch backspace. And if we wanted to go with 6-inch eventually, look at that, folks. It fits right on, so it doesn't stick it out too far. Now, these won't work on my cart because our Kelgate brake caliper is literally like a back brake caliper. You'd literally have to have enough room to get something like this on either side of the rotor. And as you can see, you could probably, now not with a pad on there, you couldn't. So to use big brakes, and we've used a Paul Martin's big brake like this, the big front brake. We've used these on our shifter carts back in the day. And this is a piston anvil brake setup, but it's the big jumbos, just like these, but the larger size. And we've used those. We like the piston on both sides because it becomes self-adjusting. We make these self-adjusting by removing the springs from the pads and stuff, but people don't like the way they flip-flop. I don't care. It doesn't cause enough drag to slow the cart down. There's more drag in your axle clutch than there would ever be with these things hanging flip-flopping down. So anybody that poo-poos the flip-flopping caliper, you're full of crapazola. Okay, you don't know what you're talking about. Try it, run them. You'll love that the pedal doesn't move and everything's good. So we got some things figured out. Why did you do this, Robert? This whole setup here, we mounted an old tire on it because we're going to use this setup with this brake to set up that other chassis, right? The ride height and everything. So we'll get rear wheels for it and tires and everything, and so we can set up the other chassis because we got to weld the rear axle into that cart. We have to set the wheelbase. We have to make sure everything's square, right? Crisscross and all that stuff. So just trying to get ourselves set up. These wheels, like I said, we got them from Rick, and they were cheap, $35 a piece. You can't buy brand new wheels for $35 a piece, and it ended up working. So I have new tires, but I didn't want to put new tires on this and then just have them sit around while we're building the cart, right? So we measure. We do this for everything, okay? Our tires on our cart are, let's see, it's 1 5/8 backspace, 3-inch front half, so we got 1 5/8 wheel, or I'm sorry, 4 5/8 wheel with a 4 5/8 tire. This is a 4.6, not a 450, a 4.6. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's 4.6. It's 4 5/8, right? And we use it straight up. Of course, Hoosier, Vega, anybody that made a 6-inch tire, they always suggest you run it on a wider wheel than the width of the tire. I never understood that, but it because with all the 5-inch stuff we've ever used forever and a day, 5-inch wide tire went on a 5-inch wide wheel. 650 tire went on a 650 wheel. 710 tire went on a 710 wheel. That's just how it worked. So I guess they say it has something to do with the deflection of the sidewall, whatever. We've been experimenting with that for 2 years. We've been playing with different widths of wheel with the tire itself. Even going narrower on a 6-inch bead, the wheel narrower than the tire itself, which is what we had on the back of our cart at Daytona because we needed the circumference for gearing because we don't have the physical gearing. And what do? You put that together along with Adam. Adam really helped us out down there at Hoosier. I'd send him an email and he'd run out in the shop when he got a minute and he'd grab a wheel and the size I was asking about, and he'd grab a tire the size I was asking about, and he'd put it together and he'd mount it up and he'd put the pressure I suggested in it, and he'd measure the circumference, he'd measure the what he called the section, how wide it was, and then of course the tread pattern and everything. This guy, man, Adam's the man, and that's why I like the Hoosier tires. I couldn't call Vega and have him do that, you know. Would Spod do that? Would he throw wheels and tires together and then have to break them down? Probably not. I'm going to guess no. He's not going to do it. So Hoosier did it, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate Adam for what he's done to really help us work on it. And of course, when we get something that we think is the right size and shape and what we're going to deal with, we put it on a cart and we go out and test. Does it change the handling? We haven't found any ill effects to anything that we've tried. The only thing that we have put together that we didn't try was this here. These are the pieces from our first set of wheels, right? This set is actually 4 1/8 of an inch wide. So this is smaller than the 4 5/8. The same way we did on the back of our cart with I'm going to blow it. I'm going to give you the tip. It's a 650 wide, 6.5 inch wide, 6-inch bead Hoosier on a 6-inch wide wheel. And it gives us more than 36 inches of rollout or circumference. 36 1/4, maybe even 36 1/2. It's a big tire. But we needed that because we didn't have any more physical gear that we could run. 19 was as big as we could go on the motor without machining a hole in the gear case. And 18 teeth was as small as we could go on the back without welding nubs on the axle and running a chain around it. So one tooth overdriving at Daytona with those big tires, and y'all didn't get to see the video, but it was going to work. That was going to be a good drafting gear ratio. I think, we won't get to prove it, but I think we had something. We worked that out. With this here, these front wheels, these two pieces Rich welded together. These are the leftover 4 pieces from the 4 wheels we originally bought and cut apart to make the one set that's on the car now that we ran at Daytona, right? The shifter car. It has the right back space. We had to buy 2 wheels that the back space and the front side were the same thing. Actually, a 3 1/8 inch wide wheel that nobody even makes a tire for, but that's an off-the-shelf wheel for DWT or DTW. Douglas wheel, whatever. So what we do is we mount the tires, and as you see, we do everything at 20 pounds because that's just our set point. These same used tires on this wheel at 20 pounds measured 34 inches exactly in circumference. Both of them measured 34. These here, we've gone, that was 4 1/8. This is 5 inches wide, and we've only lost 1/4 inch. This is 33 3/4. The 5-inchers here, which is a 5-inch wide, right? This is something we don't generally do. 5-inch wide, 5-inch bead, 450 tire. This tire is considerably smaller, a full inch smaller than that one. I believe we just wrote it down. We just measured it and checked it at 20 pounds, and it was 32 5/8. So almost a full inch smaller in circumference is this here. And that will change the rake of the car, of the chassis, and that does affect your handling. I found in my testing, more rake to the car makes it turn in really good, but you'll burn the front tires right off that thing in no time. It puts more front percentage weight on the front end and tends to burn up a smaller tire. So front to rear balance is very important, along with we can't get that. What we used to run was a 550 Dunlop tire on, I believe this is one of them, a 550 wide 5-inch bead on a 550 wide wheel. And you can't get the Dunlops here in the U.S. anymore. Certainly, I mean, you had a hard time getting a 550 anyway, because we were the, lay down shifter cart and a B stock was really the only ones using them. So we've had to make this 460 wide 6-inch bead tire work because that's the tire that was available. Then, of course, we had an issue of a wheel that didn't work for us because a 5-inch wheel didn't work for me personally. It's going to work on everything else we're going to use and build. But see, you see the issue we had. It's kind of a cluster, if you know what I mean. But we finally worked through it, and I think we found something now that's gonna do us good. We've got 2 sets of wheels for our 125 now. The other set was the ones we didn't take with us. Rich has welded those up. We mounted these tires. We took every